Well, another day.
Did you feed the pet, Daddy?
Already fed them.
I want to.
You were too busy playing with the chicken. Yeah, we've just fed everything here, put a bale out. Everything's got silage, so another nice day. I think this is the last dry day. Spread some muck yesterday. We went, well, maybe 3 or 4 loads, 4 loads I think, took out. And then I did the driest part of the field, and then it got to the point where it was starting to dig in a bit, so I abandoned it. But I had a bit of a scrape up with my digger. There's still quite a bit of muck left on that field, but so one of my next jobs is I want to take my digger down to the field where I've got some muck tipped up and spread all that. Anyway, we're supposed to be going to go and get some barley today for the calves, and might be giving Shaw's a hand to pick some spuds maybe, I don't know. We'll see how the day pans out. So yeah, it's about midday, so we're just going to go and have some breakfast and then see how we get on. Wet is the word today, I think. Yeah, it's pretty wet. Forecast rain all day, I think. The forecast looks good for a week or so. After this, well, I don't think this weekend is going to be too bad, and then next week looks alright, so I'm just sort of hoping that we have another bit of a dry spell so I can get a bit more muck out. And maybe do some drainage jobs, don't know. But yeah, we had an alright day yesterday. It was quite a nice day yesterday actually. To be fair, we had got this tedder back together, only temporarily, because I want to take the other side apart. We've done this side. We ended up replacing one of these bearings in here. There's 2 bearings that hold these baskets on, and when we drop that, was it that one? No, sorry, it might be in this one. This one. When we dropped this one off, we thought we'd better have a look at it while we had it all in bits. One of the bearings was a bit pitted, so I had one spare because it's the same bearing as that's on our digger track middle wheels. So I thought might as well replace it. So basically, it's had in this side of the tedder, we've put 2 new bearings on the end shaft, bearings that hold the shaft, and then these 2 we Mark re-greased them and we think they're all right. So this side of the tedder should be good to go now. There's a couple of bent arms that want straightening out, because once we got it back together, we ran it up and it does occasionally bang still. The other side's banging, so we need to take the other side to bits and give it the same treatment. But on this side it runs really quiet, but occasionally there's 2 times knocking, which I think is there's a few of these arms that are bent. If you look at them, they should be in line with the centre of the basket, and a few of them are way out. So they want either taking off and replacing, or taking off and straightening out in the press. But because they're all on they're bent in 2 different ways, it's a bit of a fiddle to try and get them straight. But I have done it before. So yeah, that's the ongoing job. But yeah, this rain, it's just no fun, is it? It's no bloody fun. A bit behind today. We've got to go. We haven't rolled eggs off yet, so we're going to go and do that now. Hopefully it won't chuck it down, because we haven't really got a weatherproof way of collecting eggs, because we just carry them all back into our collection shed with on a trolley. So if it's chucking it down, I do put it off sometimes, but you can only put it off so long. So yeah, we'll go and do that now. What a muddy mess it is here. I don't know what to do with these 2, because they're slopping around a bit out here, but I don't want to bring them in, because if you've been watching these videos, you'll know the reason they're outside is because they don't really get on in a group of stores. They seem to get bullied. They've not going to win any shows, but they have put a bit of flesh on over the summer. They've grown a bit. They're just not a good type. They're just bony. They're a bony type animal. They're never going to put a lot of flesh on, but I think they're about as good as they're going to get. Staying outside any longer, they're just going to go downhill. I'm feeding them plenty of barley, but really they probably want dry hay or straw in front of them all the time, but I've got nowhere I can feed them outside, so they're just going to be slopping around. I just don't know whether they're really going to do much now. One of them I think is probably destined for the freezer, and the other one I think is we're just going to have to take it sell it in the stores. It's not quite as big as I'd like to be selling them, but I think it's probably better to do it that way than put it in the shed and take the risk of it going back downhill. But yeah, it's wet. I mean, where they're stood here is the part of the field that floods every time it rains. They have got some dry bits under the trees, and the forecast is looking all right for the next week, so they might, I don't know, who knows what to do. The problem is feeding them. If you've got a big hard standing area or a big slab of concrete or something, it's not so bad. You can just keep giving them bales outside in a ring feeder or something, but I don't really have that option, so anyway, there's always something to think about, isn't there? Do is I'm going to tidy all this rubbish outside the workshop, clear a bit of space here so I can work on the pedal here, rather than we were working right around the corner in the mud. I think it'd probably be better to work right outside the workshop on this tarmac instead, so I'm going to have a bit of a tidy up around. tidying everything up, I mean just moving everything around the corner, obviously. Oh well, there we are. We can fold the tether out here, not blocking off that truck because we've got to be able to back lorries up there to the feed bin, and I've obviously got to be able to get in and out of this garage. So I think there's enough room there to work on the tether, and we're right outside the workshop, so happy days. Yeah, it's surprising how when you leave stuff lying around how straw and leaves build up. But yeah, anyway, yeah. Really important jobs I'm doing today. Really groundbreaking stuff. Inspiring, really. You can tear your eyes away. I don't know if I ever told you about the blade on this bucket. Another one of my groundbreaking jobs for today. You might think I'm bloody hillock. But this pipe here, I've got a hose pipe that runs from that tap there to this trough. And I just keep catching it. It just ends up buried under this silage. And keep catching it with a loader, and if you ever forking it up, and it's just doing my head in a bit. Because if you pull it out into the yard, it gets driven over, and when it gets driven over, it gets pinched and it gets holes in it. And if you put it too close to the cattle, it gets buried in the silage and keeps getting caught up in the fork. So I thought I had this brilliant idea that I'd just hang it up out the way. Still can't really decide whether it is a brilliant idea or as I'm being bloody stupid. Because the trouble is now I've got these dangly pipes that I'm almost definitely going to drive into, aren't I? But we'll see. What it wants really is a pipe burying from that tap and putting another post here somewhere. But I just haven't got that far yet. I mean, up until recently we had hose pipes running from the pig shed right down there, the tap, and we had a hose pipe running up to this cattle trough, and then a hose pipe running across the yard to that shed. Which was a bloody nightmare because you had to keep taking the hose pipe off every time you wanted to drive up the yard. So we buried a pipe across the yard. So there's a tap behind that shed now, and then I put a post in and a tap there. Because at the time I don't think we had cattle in these 2 bays. So it's a great improvement from what it was, but we need water here now really. I mean my big plan was to have this trough running off roof water that would come down, but I could never really figure out how to get it from the back of the shed into the trough without having pipes that you've got to move every time you want to drive in and out of the shed. I never could just figure out how to do it because I wanted it all just to run gravity feed into this trough. So I've just sort of abandoned that idea. I'm not making any use because through the winter the water off this roof would be enough if you've got a bit of a storage tank behind the shed, because we've done it, well, we've always done it with that shed. There's a IBC behind that shed where all the roof water goes into that IBC, and if you have a reasonably decent trough you've got like 2 weeks worth of water. And how often do we have 2 weeks without any rain? So it did work really well. Unfortunately the stack of pallets that the tank sat on is all rotted away and it's sort of collapsed, so it's not really working at the moment, but it did work for years. But you do spend a bit of time faffing around because you have to keep on blocking I put like a little mesh filter on the down pipe because otherwise it just fills up with leaves. So every now and then you have to just like clean that off, and you can spend time faffing around. And I realised that water isn't really that dear, is it? Don't know whether they haven't been reading my meter correctly, but they don't. Since we've gone from having hardly any cattle to having 60 odd cattle, our water bill hasn't changed at all, so I think there's probably something wrong there, but for the time being it's not really worth faffing around with rainwater. It's electric that's our problem, to do with solar panels really. But Christ, it'd be worse if you were milking cows, wouldn't it? We use, I don't know what we use electric on, but we seem to have a big electric bill. I mean, we've got lights on in the chicken sheds, but they're only a couple of little LED lights. They're only like 4 amps. There's nothing special. We have to run augers to fill chicken feeders up. But other than that, we don't really use a lot of electric. But yeah, I mean, electric is dear, isn't it? They say it's going to come down, but whether it will, who knows? A lot of people seem to be investing in solar. So anyway, right, another random pointless job ticked off for today.